You know, it's kind of rare. It is. It's kind of rare when I quote the mainstream media because normally it's fake news. What am I quoting? Only reason I'd quote them is to show you, oh, this is fake. I'm not going to read the whole story. But sometimes there's a little nugget of scientific data about something that interests me. Oh, even they're talking about it. So when I find one of those cases, well, let me use a mainstream media source in case there's anyone out there that, oh, I don't listen to anything you say unless you quote the media. The trusted source, the most trusted name in news. Well, how about Los Angeles Times? Click here to sign up. No thanks. Try for $1 a week. No thanks. I'm just going to read this article one time. From the L.A. Times. Hush, hush, eye to eye. California population growth slowest since the year 1900. As residents leave, immigration decelerates. California, not one specific place, like as in, oh, that's just San Francisco. Oh, that's just LA. No. California, city of Crapton streets, crap on the streets. I just made that up. Really, crap on the streets, and it's happening in numerous cities. From Los Angeles, speaking of, to San Francisco, even in Seattle, there's a few little cities over there. Another state, whatever. California population growth slowest since 1900. As residents leave, immigration decelerates. At least somebody is apparently listening to Jason at 4 when I say, get the F out of California. What are you doing? Get out of there. It's not getting any better anytime soon. It will only get worse. Posted by Julia Baraz, Sarah Pervini, December 21st, 2019, 8:30 a.m. Oh, they have a little quote above that. California was the place, the big destination for people around the country and around the world, says the Brookings Institution's William Frey. It's lost its luster a little bit, he says. A little bit like a few people are leaving, or a little bit like millions are leaving. Yeah. So you're saying there's a chance? Yes. The Golden State remains stuck in the slow lane when it comes to population. The number of Californians increased to 39.96 million, with new data from the Department of Finance showing mostly downward trends. They are rooted in fewer births, coupled with increased deaths among an aging population. The Golden State, however, has also seen changes in international migration, along with more and more residents leaving the state. The estimates, which include that California's population grew by 141,300 people between July 1st, 2018 and July 1st, 2019, nonetheless signal a 0.35% growth rate, down from 0.57% for the prior 12 months. Now, granted, 0. whatever percent is tiny anyways. But on a percentage basis, from 0.57, just round it up to 60, to 0.35%, that's a massive percent decrease, or increase in this case. The two lowest recorded growth rates, by the way, both those years, since the year 1900, department officials underscored. According to the agency, natural increase with 452,200 births and 271,400 deaths accounted for an additional 180,000 people in the state. Still, these gains were offset by losses in net migration. I heard a Beach Boys song come. I'm talking about net migration, net migration. See, I told you, my friends, they have spirit guides that tell them the future. They tell them about treasure stuff. I mean, all kinds of good stuff. They can read people. The spirit tells them stuff. My spirit guides, I'm remembering you read an article. Oh, there's a Beach Boys song. Oh, hey, there's a Bette Midler song for you to read. But that's what I do. I love my spirit guides. That is the total amount of people moving into the state minus the total amount of people moving out. Notably, said Ellie Hunsinger, a demographer, oh, I thought it was a Democrat, demographer with the Department of Finance, even though the net international migration added to the state's population, there was substantial, not a little bit, substantial negative domestic net migration, which resulted in a loss of 39,500 residents. This, said the department, marks the first time since the 2010 consensus that California has had more people leaving the state than moving in from abroad or other states. William Frey, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, said Friday's findings follow a trend that demographers have seen over several years. While California has always seen domestic outmigration, people moving to other states, the rate has grown over the last decade. Quote, for some years after the Great Recession, housing crunch, California was losing domestic migrants, but not as much as it could have. Now that's starting to push up again, Frey said. The most common destinations for those leaving the state were to go to Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, and Washington. Washington State, trust me, not Washington, D.C., just to be clear. He said, as the economy has picked up throughout the West and other parts of the country. Aside from a lower cost of living, some Californians are drawn to areas with no state income tax. You know what I can't wait to see? I just have a sneaky suspicion. All this money laundering that the Democrats have been doing, Ukraine, now it's 12 point something billion, was 5. No, there's 2 instances now. They've been funneling this back to themselves. I just got a sneaky suspicion that we're going to find tax dollars, income tax dollars in the state of California, and other sources in California, that didn't quite go where they're supposed to go, and somehow the likes of Nancy Pelosi, Nadler, Schiff, or all these guys, although I think one of them was Nadler from New York, whatever. It was a bunch of the Gang of 8, whatever nonsense. We might find that, again, how can I live in the state of Florida, and I believe Texas is the same, I think Texas doesn't have an income tax either, for sure Florida. And there are many other states too, by the way, that don't have a state income tax. How can the state of Florida and those others survive? How can we actually flourish without that additional state income tax? Like, it's absurd. How does this happen? I'm going to say probably for the same reasons in 1916 the income tax came to be, when before that our country, we fought the Constitution drafted right after 1776. How the hell did we get from 1776 or 78, a couple years later, all the way 100 years later, 1878, another 40 or so years, to 1916 without an income tax? How did we survive? How did they pay for stuff? Oh my gosh. Got a sneaky suspicion. A lot of these state income tax states have been taking the money and maybe not quite doing what they're supposed to be doing with it. That's just a theory I've got going on here. In the past, California would be growing because immigration would counteract domestic outmigration, he said. The outmigration is in places where housing prices are high, and therefore immigration is not being able to counter that. Los Angeles County, the region saw overall outmigration even when counting the influx of immigrants. Orange, Santa Barbara, Santa Clara, and San Diego counties also had negative net migration, even with gains from immigration. Now, last time I checked, San Diego, I came from San Diego. My dad said before you were born, basically, your mom and I, we lived in New York. It was getting too crazy, too expensive. We said, to hell with this, let's go where it's cheap. Let's go into San Diego. So we moved to San Diego, clear across the country. We lived there for a few years, and then all of a sudden, the same crap's happening here. Prices are getting too high. Let's get out of here. Let's go where your Uncle John is in Florida. And around the years of 5 years old we came down here. Been here ever since. Still no income tax on the state level. Still Not crazy high expensive prices on housing and things like you see in California. And that might change when all the people in California say, oh, I'm a liberal and even I can't stand this place anymore. I got to get the hell out of here. Now, they'll never tell you like that, but that'll happen. And they're going to sell their McMansion for big dollars because that's just what the rates are out there. It's absurd. And then they'll come over to Florida and they'll buy something outright with cash. Why? They'll have tons of money. Therefore, our property prices could start spiking because everyone's going to want to come over here. Or maybe, what was the other places? Texas, Arizona, what was it? Colorado, Nevada, Washington. In an email to the Times, demographer Hunsinger countered that the estimates are for current and historical information rather than the future. There were also some notable internal shifts within the state. Smaller counties and remote areas either saw population declines or slight increases, with the exception of regions surrounding Butte County, site of the 2018 Camp Fire, the deadliest in California history. It destroyed the town of Paradise and, in addition to killing 86 people, displaced some 35,700 residents. According to the Department of Finance, the bulk of those affected by the fire relocated to nearby cities in Butte or surrounding counties, including Colusa, Glen, Pumas, Sutter, Tehama, and Yuba. 4 of those counties, in fact, were listed among the top 10 with the highest population growth rates. Beyond these exceptions, again for fire purposes, I guess, however, the statewide rate of population growth is shrinking. Dowell Myers, an expert in demographics at the USC, said the population growth in California has been slowing down for 3 years. The state recovered from the recession, he said, but as things have perked up in California, not everyone has felt the benefits. Jobs are getting better, but people's recovery has turned around and gone bad. Myers said, I think because of housing prices. The peak millennial is turning 30 in 2020. It's a pivotal moment, and they can't find housing. So people aren't coming as much, and they're leaving here more. Do you remember that video I did when my friend Dave said, Joe, I live near Silicon Valley. I will show you firsthand accounts with my own camera of the RVs lining up and down these streets where people are just living in them. There's nowhere he goes, many of these people are in fact, like you said in the articles, are in fact probably making over 6-figure salaries. Just not just barely over 100K. In other words, a good, decent 6-figure salary. But they still can't afford to live in these houses. So they shack up in these RVs. And then I remember doing a video a few months ago. Oh my God, there's people actually shacking up in the docks out there in the bay. And this is, I'll go and put my friend Dave in this song. Davey used to work on the docks. Democrats being on strike. They're down on their luck. It's tough. Yeah, their gravy train stopping, these criminal Democrat politicians. But even down in the bay, people were camping out in boats and oh my God, this is supposed to be the most prosperous, fantastic state in the entire United States of America. You got San Francisco with poop on the streets. I've got another video to do. I have another video to do. Where's it at? Oh, $3 billion, 300-acre mega city envisioned for California's record high homelessness. Let's just give them free housing and a whole entire city. We'll create a new city for them and let them live there. What? That's a separate video. And as a matter of fact, I think I need to go and do that one right now.